Hey everybody, the Reeswirl here, and welcome back to more of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Okay, the trial begins. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Oh, Mia. You must get a complete acquittal today. I know. I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. Jesus. It's him! This is Wright. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Like how he just growls. Grrr. For myself, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. A present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial opens. Even if you don't like my gift. I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest. If you please. Wait. Oh. The kidnapper sent me a present. Mr. Lawyer dude? Who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Oh my god. Cause you're totally lying, man. Courtroom number 3! Wait, where's... the prosecutor? Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ongard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. It's not like Von Karma to not be here. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor? Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. Oh. What? Shot? Oh no. Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she disappeared, this would be to your advantage. But this is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. You are... I thought he'd show up. Edgeworth! Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready. Naturally. Oh, nice. God, it's just like the good old days. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder. Oh my god. Shoulder. And is currently undergoing surgery. Jesus. Can't believe... Luckily I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ongard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. It always starts with Gumshoe. Poor guy. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Hey! Yes, sir. Now let's have your testimony. If you want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Hey! Oh my god, it's like we're back in the first game! The bare facts of the case. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Carrido, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Huh. Okay. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. The only thing I could probably, the only thing I can think of pressing on is, I think it was the third statement. Well, I mean, because these are things we knew. Like, we know he was murdered after the Hero of Heroes award. We also know that it was Juan Carrido that was found dead in his room. But this, he doesn't really give us a detailed, like, explanation into what happened. It just says he was definitely murdered. The cause of death. Wasn't that because Mr. Carrido was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn here, to this bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. What? Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. Really? They killed him by strangulation, and then stabbed his corpse? What? Okay, what did they think was suspicious with the guitar case then? Why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. I mean, that's true. The German ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. We couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but why is the judge giving theories? But the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory then. I just love how the judge interjected. It's like, how about this? Try this one for size. So, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Okay. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Carrido, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. What? So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case, after all. I believe that's enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Ongard? Because there was no reason, there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well. Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Okay. So what's his testimony? Okay. Why arrest Ongard? Matt and Wonka Reader were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Gem Ninja's button. It was ripped off of the ninja costume and was found in Matt Ungar's Hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. He bought it. Really? So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. Knife added. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And this is the button. This button is also covered in blood. Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? These are pretty damning evidence. Oh dear. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honour. Screw you, Edgeworth. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like, just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. So much growling. Grrr. So why arrest on guard? Okay. The only thing that's making me throwing me off is the fact he said he bought the knife. He bought the knife for the crime. So if I actually check stuff, what does the knife actually say? Bears the victim's blood and Ongar's fingerprints. In the grip, Gatewater is engraved. So he didn't buy it. It was a hotel thing. Hey Thomas, how's it going? Kaboom! Yeah, slam that desk. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand. That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Oh, huh? How could they not see that? Really? It has the establishment engraved on the handle. Are they just that thick? I mean, if they didn't, or if they did notice that, it would kind of put a hole in us presenting it. So take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. Gumshoe's reaction. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... Oh, great. What's Edgeworth got up his sleeve? What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realise this. But I didn't... Oh. Oh, I feel so bad for Gumshoe. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Karida's room. Sorry, Your Honour, but that is incorrect. Voodoo! The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, we'd like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. Oh. I see there's a knife and a fork. There's a knife and a fork on the table. My goodness! Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard. Ah, crap. There's a knife missing. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? Oh dear. This is bad. We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, And while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Onguard's knife was missing. Mr. Onguard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. With that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Why the hell would you want to kill someone with a blunt-ass knife anyway? Unless it was like a steak knife, then that would probably work. But if that just looks like a bog-standard, like, I was going to say kitchen knife. Cutting knife. They're blunt as shit. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. Seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. Considering he started laughing, I would probably guess so. This must be one of those traps and I've just walked headlong into it. Yep. It's usually the case. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your honour's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defence were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? It means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defence have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Oh, well... Phoenix? The judge is favouring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out the sound of defeat. Or to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Actually, I do. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. Oh my god, it actually is! Oh wow! That's cool. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court? Found next to the victim, filled with tomato juice, no sign it's been drank. Boom! This is a wine glass, is it not? Yeah, it's a wine glass, but it only has juice inside it. What? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. It's the only thing that was left untouched. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on the top of the dresser. Well yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Great. Well, what do you all have to say? Ah, well, yes. It is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth? What is it, Your Honour? Your opinion? You don't need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? Oh my god. It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible. Mr. Wright? Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? It's possible. There's no way. If I appear weak here, then the trial is over. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it, if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. We've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Oh, he totally does. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? That bloody smirk of his. You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then... Of course it has been thoroughly inspected, for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Let me guess. Adrian Andrews. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were one of Adrian Andrews. Motherfuck... What? Great! That was like our only avenue. No! That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? Shite. I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. Yeah, another one of those goes. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. I don't care. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? I'm not sure. Who is it? Ah, fuck. Old bag! Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness! Your name and occupation, please. Oh my god, the ray gun. Gotcha. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, edgy boy. It's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet? It was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Oh my god, the ray gun. Shush, I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No, please, by all means interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Allbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie... at one. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean, you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, why is she speaking so slowly? I was facing in front of his room that night. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Oh my god, old bag. What a character. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was Engard, Matt Engard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. Okay. So Mr. Engard came out of the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Pace around the hallway in front of his room. That just sounds like stalking. What was she interested in finding out? Something you were interested in, and just what was that? It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. Ah, an edgy, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? This has something to do with the case, then you can append it to your testimony. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. Did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? So keep an eye out. It saw a man coming out of Juan's room. It was on guard, Matt on guard. Okay. Press. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yes, Really? Annoying, Brett. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a mess like last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Oh, right, I see. Not the face, not what they were carrying, their clothes. Because, again, it was a samurai. They have costumes. Were they wearing a costume? Because if they were, then they could just be hiding their identity, and it would be exactly like the Steel Samurai on the first game. Yeah, their clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are, really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. Yeah, he was wearing that at the detention centre too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? It was very important. Of course it was important, Your Honour. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of the testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honour, I request what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright, witness, please. Oh well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. Oh, right, now I've only just spotted the contradiction. Yes, it's to do with the button. Because if you go on the button, it was found in On Guard's Hakama. If he was just wearing his racing jacket, that would not have got caught in his costume. So you're wrong, bitch. This old bag? What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? It's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Oh my god. Wow. She really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ongard's body during a full-body search. See? See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Ongard. It was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai Hakama pants. See? See? And Ongard is the Nickel Samurai. Yeah, I don't think she's understanding. Witness? Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Ongard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, she put her helmet back on. I'm so sorry. So that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the... Oh, no, never mind. I was gonna try read it, but I didn't realise she was going on a rant. What the heck? What the fuck? Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Ongard, the man. It was the Nickel Samurai! But Mr. Ongard, the Nickel Samurai. But when you think about it... Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I love this song too much. They're really one and the same anyway. Incorrect. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth thinking about. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Ah, alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Whew! Oldbag just makes things a right pain in the ass. Who I saw. Oh, God, okay. On guard. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The Knuckle Samurai, that's right, it was a Knuckle Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn the Knuckle Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. Juan. I knew it. It's just like the Steel Samurai. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, young'uns today, I told you, there is no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. And what I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Oh my god. Jesus. Who I saw. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not. Not too long ago? Now let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what? See? Look at where you are now, you're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that man was inside that costume, isn't that enough? Jesus, that was worth it. Oh yeah. He must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan, but he couldn't have. Because his fingerprints are all over the knife. Man. Please, take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you try to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask, it's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Hey, there we go. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? Oh my god, the judge. If Mr. Armguard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on the knife. On this knife, even. I mean, I get the feeling Edgeworth is going to say, but that's not true, because it could have been the knife he was using to eat, in which case he would have left his fingerprints all over it when he was eating. Like, you don't just magically leave fingerprints when you're murdering someone. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. I suppose. Oh, that's right, the Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. Why would he do that? And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as a Nickel Samurai. At the time, or that time, the defendant held no intent of murder, or to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that the defendant and the victim had bad blood between them. Yes, I've heard of that. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight, Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intentions of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with this theory? No problems, think about it one more time. Contradiction? Probably a contradiction. The theory. Oh, it was premeditated! Okay, I've just realised. As soon as he said it, I was like, why is it contradictory? But yeah, because they said earlier that it was a premeditated murder. The theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. But what are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Ongard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. The knife! This knife, this was used by Mr. Ongard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Karida. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? How many times am I going to slam the desk? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. Oh! And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. Oh! And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order, order! Order, I say. Order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame Matt Ongard. It's to frame my client, Mr. Ongard, of course. To frame... Oh god. Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? We just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Ooh! Witness! Looks like I've made your life a teeny bit more difficult. Huh, edgy. Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Ongard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure. Okay. She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai. Alright then, who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Karida. Am I correct, witness? The way you think, you were a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? So Oldbag was waiting around in front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Karida. Maybe, Phoenix, maybe the Oldbag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag.